Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to talk about first lesson in chapter 5, which is talking about sensitivity or irritability in the living organism. Of course, the sensation or sensitivity is a feature or a property for living organism, and the degree of sensitivity is different according to the type of living organism. In plants, of course, it's less obvious or less clear than in animals, and in animals, of course, it's more obvious or more clear than in plants. But sensitivity in humans is working with the highest efficiency and highest accuracy too. Now, let's define what is the meaning of sensitivity. Sensitivity is a suitable response of the living organism to the internal and external what factor or stimuli to maintain its life. Now, before talking the sensitivity in animals, we should study sensitivity in plants. And before talking the forms and the types of sensitivity in plants, we should study this example to recognize the meaning of sensitivity in plants. What is this? It's mimosa plant, and we are going to study now the meaning of sensitivity in mimosa plants. Means its response to darkness and touch. Before talking about the sensitivity or the responsiveness of mimosa plant to touch and darkness, let's study its morphology or its external appearance. Mimosa plant consists from primary races which carry 4 secondary races at its end, and its secondary races carries leaflets which are arranged into rows. Leaflets, secondary races, and primary races ends with pulvinus which act as a joint during touch and darkness. Mimosa plant during touch, its leaflets that are touched collapse in a successive order and followed by the petioles as if they wilt. But during darkness, the leaflets approach from each other and hang downwards, which indicates a sleeping movement. But in daylight, the leaflets get away from each other during daylight, which indicates an awake movement. And please be aware, dear students, that the touch movements affects only on some leaflets that were touched, while the sleeping and awake movements affects on all the leaflets and the petioles of plant. Now, dear students, let's study the explanation of responsiveness of mimosa plant to touch and darkness. As we have mentioned that pulvinus which exists in the end of primary races, secondary races, and leaflets acts as joints. During touch or during darkness, the lower part of pulvinus is more sensitive than the upper part. So water diffuses from cells in the lower parts to the neighbor cells. So this part will shrink and the plant fills downwards. And when the stimulus disappears, the cells regain its turgidity again. So the plant will back to its normal position. Now, dear students, let's study the other forms of sensation in plants. As we all know that plants needs many factors to grow, like water, like light, like gravity. If these factors or if the plant exposed to these factors from only one side, the other form of sensation in plants occur, which is called trapeze. So, what is the meaning of trapeze? Trapeze means curvature or bending of plant parts toward stimulus or factors or away from it. Now, dear students, let's study the forms of trapeze. If the plant exposed from only one side to light, it's called phototropism. If the plant is exposed from only one side to gravity, it's called geotropism. And if the plant is exposed from only one side to water, it's called hydrotropism. Let's study the first part, the first form, which is called phototropism. What is the meaning of phototropism? Phototropism means the response of growing plant parts to an external stimulus, which is excellent light, causing the curvature of plant parts toward it or away from it. To recognize the meaning of phototropism, let's study the opposite experiment together. Put a growing plant on a piece of cork and put both in a beaker that containing water. Put the beaker in a closed dark box that has a small hole in one side to allow transmission of light. Leave it for several hours. Observation: a stem grows towards light and the root moves or grows away from light. This means that a stem is positive to phototropism and the root is negative to phototropism. Positive means that the plant parts is growing towards the stimulus. Negative means that the plant process is growing away from the stimulus. So the stem is positive to phototropism and the roots is negative to phototropism. Let's see the explanation of both. Now, dear students, let's study Boyson-Jensen experiment together. He subjected old coleoptile plant to light from only one side. Then he observed curvature of stem towards light. Then he cutted the tips of the plant and he subjected the plant to light and he noticed no curvature occurs. Then he returned the cut tips of plant directly or after adding gelatin to the tips. Then he observed curvature returned back. Poison Jensen then returned in the other step the cutted part, but after sticking it with mica sheet, he noticed no curvature occurs. Poison explained that the reason of curvature is due to the unequal distribution of concentration of auxins. So, what is the meaning of auxins? Auxins considers or acts as plant hormones, and they are chemical substances that are secreted from the coleoptile tips of the plants and affected greatly by the external factors. Let's see the explanation that the stem is positive to phototropism and the root is negative to phototropism, but after studying the wind experiment together. Wind exposes the old coleoptile to light from only one side. Then he cut off the tips of the plants and put it on 2 blocks of agar, but after separating between them by mica sheet. Then he measured the auxins ratio in both sides, and it was 65 in the far side from light and 35 in the side that close or closer to light. So the explanation is although the auxins concentration in the far side from light in both stem and roots are equal or similar, but stem is positive to phototropism and root is negative to phototropism, this is due to that auxins in stem stimulates or induces growth of cells that far from light over the cells which is close to light. So the cells in the far side grow more rapidly than the other side. So stem is positive to phototropism. But in the other side, increases in Auxins ratio in roots inhibits growth of cells in the far side from light. So cells which at the side of light grow more rapidly than the far side. So root is negative to phototropism. So conclusion, increasing in Auxins ratio in a stem stimulate or induce growth, but increasing in Auxins ratio in roots inhibits growth. Now, dear students, as we have just mentioned phototropism, let's study geotropism. What is the meaning of geotropism? Geotropism is the response of the growing brain parts to an external stimulus or factor, which is gravity, where they move away from or towards it. To recognize the meaning of geotropism, let's study the next experiment together. Put a growing plant in a vertical position, so root will grow downwards while stem is growing upwards. Bring another growing plant and put it in a horizontal position and leave it for several days. Observation is stem tips curves upwards against gravity and root curves to gravity and grow downwards. So we can say that stem is positive geotropism or negative, excellent, negative to geotropism, and root is positive to geotropism. The explanation is, as we have just mentioned, that the increases in Auxins ratio stimulates or induces growth in a stem, but here the increasing in Auxins ratio will be in the side which is close to the stimulus or gravity, not the far side. So the stem curves upwards against gravity and it's negative to geotropism. And also, as we have just mentioned, that the increases in the Auxins ratio in roots inhibits growth, but here the increasing in the Auxins ratio is at the side which is close to gravity, so the cells which is far from gravity more rapidly than the other side. So root grows directed towards gravity and it's positive to geotropism. Now, dear students, let's study the last form of sensation in plant or the last type of tropism, which is hydrotropism. What is the meaning of hydrotropism? Hydrotropism means the response of plant part to an external stimulus or factor, which is humidity, and it means water, where they move away from it or towards it. To recognize the meaning of hydrotropism, let's study the next experiment. If you put an equal amount of water in both sides of growing plants, the root will grow directed to downwards due to the equal distribution of water. But if we put water from only one side, we will notice that the root is growing directed towards stimulus, which is water. Explanation is auxins are accumulated in the side which is faces water more than the other side. This leads to inhibition of growth of cells at this side. So the sides which is far from water will grow more rapidly than the side which is facing water, so root is growing directed towards stimulus. So root is positive to hydrotropism. Now, dear students, let's revise the concepts that we have just studied today. Stem is positive to phototropism, but root is negative to phototropism. Stem is negative to geotropism, but root is positive to phototropism. And finally, there is no effect of hydrotropism on stem, but root is positive to hydrotropism. And finally, don't forget, dear students, tropism occurs only in one condition: when a stimulus or when plant is subjected to stimulus from only one side. And also, don't forget, dear students, that related to phototropism, the concentration of auxins increases in the side which is far from light, but in the other cases of hydrotropism and geotropism of auxins, or the increasing in auxins ratio, will be in the side which is subjected, or at the side which is faces the stimulus, which are water or humidity and gravity. Thanks, dear students. See you next time, inshallah. Miss Ines Adam, your biology teacher's Princess Language School.